Okay guys, escapes. This is super important. You do not want to get stuck on your back and have no way of getting out. So these are must-know escapes. You have to know. You have to know how to escape mount. You have to know how to escape rear mount, side mount, all these things. You got to practice these ones over and over and over again. So there's some really, really good details. The nice thing is these are the basic ones. These are the ones that you must know. So they're simple ones. They're easy to do. They don't take a lot of fancy skills or timing. These are ones that are perfect for the beginners. So have fun with them. Take some good notes. We'll see you soon. Okay, so our first escape we want to do for mount is our bridge and roll. Now, it's not uncommon for his hand to be on my collar, hand to maybe be on my throat or my shoulders, or even potentially the floor. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways of trapping up that arm. Well, I'll show the classical way first. His hand is on my collar. I'm going to wiggle, 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 and get my knee, or sorry, my elbow in front of his knee. My hand will go behind his arm. I'm going to take my other hand, I'm going to chop it down. So a nice strong grip here. My foot is going to trap his foot. If I have my elbow in front of his knee, I should be able to trap it very easily. If his knee is higher, my elbow is not in front, I'm not going to be able to trap it. I can't find it. So I'll wiggle and put my elbow on the floor to stop it, trap his foot, grab here, hand is behind. I'm going to bridge and I'm going to look right here. Right there to get him off balance. And then I take my right foot and I kick over. Elbows in front, trap the foot, trap the arm, bridge at an angle, and kick over here. Okay, so this way of bridging and rolling over is a very, very classical way. There's a couple different ways of trapping the arm up. If his hand's on the collar, that's the one that we're going to do. If the hands are on my throat, we'll say there's even two. Same thing. Okay, I still want this hand behind. And the reason why is right here, if he tries to pull his hand out, my hand's behind his elbow. If it's here, he can pull it out. And that's the big threat. We want to watch out for that. If his hand's on the floor, I'm going to try and trap it in my armpit. Now, here's what you have to be careful for your training partner. I want training partner hand upside down. Okay? If his hand is this way, when I bridge over, you can see he's going to roll over his fingers. That's kind of scary for him. So he'll roll his hand the other way, bridge. And then I just kind of go over his wrist a little bit. I'm not going to bust his fingers by doing that. So really watch out for that one when it's trapped in the armpit. Sometimes they might grab your head. Okay, so if they have a headlock, this is great. He's trapping his own arm. His elbow's on the floor. I get my elbow in so I can trap his foot. I don't need my hand so much anymore. I can bridge and roll over again. So the bridge is a really important part. And the idea that we're isolating an arm, however we have it trapped, and the foot. For the bridge, we want to go at a 45-degree angle. This way. Not straight up, okay? Not forward, okay? And not sideways. Okay? It needs to go at that angle right there. So in front, trap the foot, trap the arm, bridge, and roll over into the guard. Okay? Go ahead, guys. So now we are going to work on shrimping to guard. Now if we're going to do a bridge and roll, it's because their knees are a little bit tighter together, so their base is closer, it's easier to knock them over. But what's natural is as soon as I start trapping things, their knees come out. So now that their base is wider, it's going to be hard to tip them over, just like a pyramid. His knees are really wide, the peak is here, it's going to be hard to tip this pyramid over. If the knees are together, a little easier to make it waver. So now that his knees are out for me, and he's probably started to pull his hand out too, so maybe I didn't get a good grip and I slipped. I'm going to put two hands on the same hip. My feet are on the floor. I'm going to turn my right heel out slightly. I'm going to bridge and then shrimp away. I'm going to bring one knee in, and if there's enough space, I will bring a second knee in. But one knee in, and then I'll turn to the other side to bring my second knee in. And what we have here is an open guard called butterfly guard. This is a good position to be in. If he's trying to hold me down, okay, I can hold him up with my legs. Very, very easy to control the weight. So this is a good position. Again. Here, I've already tried to wiggle. I got my elbows in front of his knees, which is really, really, really important. I try to trap his arm. He pulled out, hand on his hip, shrimp away. One knee in, hand on the shoulder, or if his head is down, on his head, and shrimp away here. And now I can start working into triangle kind of area from the hip, and then climb my way up. Turn around. Okay, elbows in front of his knees. When I go to do my shrimp, I'll turn my heel outwards, out here. Bring my leg in, and then my other one in. You can even push him away if he gives me enough space. One more angle. Elbows in front. Find my spot. I want on the far hip. Go ahead, guys. So now we're going to go into side mount, shrimping away. Sean's got his knee in, he's tight, right? He might even have my arms caught good, so I'm in a bad position. I need to support some of his weight, so I'm going to bridge a little bit, wiggle a little bit, and get my elbow in front of his hip. I don't want to put my hand on his hip, okay? Because then my arm will collapse. I can't hold the weight. What I want to hold the weight is my elbow, because the bone I have right here is very, very strong. Put this in, I can hold him away. I don't want to leave this hand dangling out, so I put it on his back or his lap, wherever I'm comfortable reaching, just not behind him. Okay, so I want my elbow in front. This hand I want in front of his neck, but I have to be careful. If I bring it around, yeah, Sean's going to attack it. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to get on my side a little bit, okay, and I do that by turning my left hip up and my left shoulder up, and I'm going to roll my hand in. So this is a pretty important detail. I want to be able to roll this hand in underneath his neck. So if it's here, I'm just bring my elbow back a little bit, roll it in, and I'm just going to put my hand on the shoulder. Now from here, my knee is pointing that way, and I'm going to do that bridge just like I did in mount, 95 or 45 degrees, and then I'm going to push and shrimp away and bring my knee in. So I want my knee and my elbow to meet before I pull my arm away. Here. Now, this is very common. If he leaves his arm out, well, I got a nice little arm bar here, got a nice little arm bar here. Not terribly worried about that just yet, but I have a guard, and usually the reason you would pull an arm bar is it'll make him posture away from you. You can start kicking them away to either stand up or start a scramble to get on top if that's your choice. So again, wiggle, 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 get that elbow in. Sometimes this is the most challenging thing, is just getting that elbow in and getting the hand underneath. Once that's there though, bridge at an angle, shrimp away so you have some space, bring your knee in, and bring your other leg up. This is a nice little arm lock here, hands in the armpit. That's more for the blue belts than the white belts. Off the other side. Same thing, both hands, angle, shrimp, and then cut back in. If they're hanging on to you, great, don't worry about it. It's easy to stretch them out. And again, I got my arm bar over here. Okay, so big things to remember is keep your structure nice and strong, bridge at an angle, okay? Move your hips away and extend your arms so you can keep them away from you, and then you can have lots of room to bring your knee in. Okay, go ahead, guys. Okay, so now we're going to take the back from half guard. Maybe in our defense or escape from mount or escape from side mount, it's not at all uncommon that you want to try and get to your guard, but you can't, and you end up getting half of a guard. So I have the one leg trap. Now, I said in the escape series, we want 3 things if you're on your back, or Sean wants 3 things on top. If he's on top, he wants the underhook, which he has. His arm is under my arm. He wants me flat on my back, which I am, and he wants a cross face. So this is very annoying for me. So I don't want those 3 things. I need to undo them. So I'm going to go through it, but I'm not going to talk so much because I want him to have a tight cross face. So get your cross face. There. This is what I'm looking for. My hand is easily in that underhook position now. I can float it underneath. Now how I did that is when he has this cross face, good, get a nice tight one. Okay, good, that's good pressure. Now keep it. I can't really go any way but that way because his head is, or his arm's pushing my head in. So I'm going to take my hand and push on his hip. Ah, there, it feels a lot better. So I try to push his hip away. So I really cross face me. Good, I'm going to push. I'm going to turn onto my side a little bit. So now that I have my arm is straight on this side, and I move my hip out, so now I'm on my side with my arm straight. I just don't have my underhook yet. Keep that pressure. To hold him away, I'm going to shrimp more and put my knee in front of his hip, not across his body. Okay, so I really, if you saw first, I don't want this. I want this right in front of his pelvis. That's what I'm looking for. I can feel his pelvis with my knee. Okay. Over here, shrimp, knees in. Now I can keep him away from me. I can roll my hand underneath just like side mount. And what I'm looking for is to get his armpit under or on top of my elbow. So I scoop to here. Okay, now Sean's holding on tight, so when I lift, I can move his weight, and that's really important. So I'm moving like a ball. My knees are together. I'm not trying to stretch him out. I don't want this. I want this. I want to bring my knees to the chest. Throw him up, and I duck out behind him. Now from here I have 2 choices, and it really depends on where he goes. If he's lighter, he might go a little bit higher. So if I'm behind his shoulder, so my head is in between, right in his middle back, I'm going to grab his hip, I'm going to pull him backwards, and I'm going to make some space, and you see how I hooked his foot. Okay? And then I can start going for whatever chokes I want to get. If I end up higher, where my head is in line with his head, I'm going to grab his armpit, not his hip. I'll grab his armpit, my foot will climb around. Now I'm going to go onto his back, hand goes to the floor, and I straighten my leg out. Here. Okay. I want to straighten my leg out. As I straighten my leg out, I'm going to take out his base with my hook and put this one in to flatten him out. So again. And one more time, this time I'll climb on his back. You got the early tap here. When you're taking the back, the big thing we want to do is just get our head out into this pocket. And that's why Sean wants that underhook, because I can't get out here. But as soon as I can get under his arm, then I'm on his back. So whichever way you prefer. If he sits up, you can see, you widen your foot or step up. My foot is hooked inside his foot here. So that when I move away, I just straighten my leg out and it will drop into that pocket. So those 2 ways you can take the back. Versus a heavier guy, you're probably going to climb onto his back. A lighter person, you'll drag inside your rear mount. Okay, have fun guys. So now rear mount. Rear mount's always a nasty one to get caught in. I'm going to give you two really quick ones. One if he has the harness grip, and one if he doesn't. So we'll do the one if he doesn't first. This one's a little easier. No, he doesn't have that yet. The reason I'm showing you is you're probably not going to get this one a lot. And the reason why is you're probably not going to recognize rear mounts happening until it's a little too late. But I want you to see how important it is to have the feet. If Sean has his feet here, I pull his knees, my knees to my chest, grab his feet, I'm going to straighten my legs out and pop his feet out. And as I do that, I put my back on the mat. So a big part of jiu-jitsu is knowing how to use the ground. And I'm going to use the ground in both these rear mount escapes to scrape Sean off my back. So in this case, he doesn't have the hooks, or sorry, the harness. I grab his feet down and then I turn into him. The challenge, of course, is he's probably going to get the harness pretty quickly. So if I can manage to ball up and he's going for his harness now, I can still get out, but it's a little tricky, right? It's a bit of a scramble, but it's something to be aware of, and it's a very common thing to try and get rid of the hooks. Now the challenge here is if he does have a harness and I try to get rid of these hooks, he's going to choke me. So now, yeah, I'm playing with fire a little bit. So if he does have his harness, I need to ignore this now. I can't really be exposing my arms. It seems like it would be a good idea, but we don't want to do that just yet. So he has his harness. I'm going to grab his wrist. I'm going to take my other hand and grab his elbow and pull it deeper. Okay? So I want it tight. I want his elbow in front of my shoulder. And we're just going to rotate a little bit. Good. I want to put his back on the mat, and then I want to try and tilt my way to this side. And that's really important. The side that has the arm is the side I have to fall to. So I have this, and I hold this tight to my chest. I straighten my leg out and turn my hips and turn my shoulder. So I want to try and use that ground to scrape Sean off my back. Now I got to here, I don't want him going to mount, but this is also why I'm holding onto his arm. So Sean, go to mount, go to mount, go to mount. He can't go to mount if I hold onto this arm, but if this arm slips, go to mount. Oh, there. If his arm comes out, he's going to get his mount. So I have to hold on to this tight, but I want him to try to go to mount. So when he tries to go, good. Now I can push on his knee. And that will bring me around on top. Now it's not an ideal position. I'm on top of him, but he's still kind of got my head in my arm. I'm not really worried about that. I'm out of rear mount is the idea. Okay, so we'll go a slightly different angle this time. If he puts me onto this side, same thing. I'm going to grab, I'm going to straighten this leg and push. I really need to get to the other side, drop my hips down, and walk around and sit up. Now, if he doesn't try to climb the mount, I'm just going to reach over and grab his legs and switch to mount, or switch to side mount. One more time. From here, I'm not really terribly worried. He's just going to hold on for a little bit. I can work my hand in, work my arm around his head, and then I'm going to be fine from here. Okay, so you have two rear mount escapes. One, if you recognize rear mount's coming a little bit faster, you can zip right out, and it does work pretty well as long as he doesn't have the harness. If he does have a harness, really isolate that arm, drop your hips to the side, and use the ground. The ground is your friend here. Just scrape them off, and then get to side mount on them. Go ahead. So now, Casket Army. Casket Army is at a headlock position on the ground. And it can be a very difficult position to escape sometimes, especially if he holds on to his elbow well, there's pressure on my diaphragm. So whenever I'm flat on my back, I want to try and get to my side. And you saw that in the side mount one too, getting my left shoulder up and my left hip up. So I'm going to try and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle and get onto my side. Now if I can get my right elbow to the floor, that's really, 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 really good. To help out, I'm going to grab his lapel. And I want my lapel to be right by the carotid artery on his neck. I don't want to go too far behind, I don't want to go too loose. I'm going to grab here and put my fist right in his neck. And then I'm going to bridge at that 45-degree angle. So I got my grip, I'm gonna wiggle a little bit. Even if I don't have my elbow out to the floor, that's fine. I'm gonna bridge up and then turn to my knees. Now from here, I have a bit of a shoulder lock on Sean. If I relax the pressure, he's gonna wanna drop to guard or get to his knees. So I need to keep this pressure down either by my elbow on the floor or hugging it. And I can always duck out behind. Get my grip, wiggle, wiggle, bridge, up. There's my pressure. Grab his wrist if I want to get my head out completely, but the more space I give, the more space he's gonna roll. He might shoulder roll, right, and recover a guard, or he just might drop onto his hips. So it's a little bit safer to take his back unless it's for self-defense and you want to try and get away. So grab, here, up, and get behind him. From there, you can go to what we did before when you're taking his back, because it's a very similar position. I'm right behind him. I can put my knee by his hip, my other hand on his other hip, and pull him into that rear mount position. Okay? So make sure when you're doing this one, you're bridging at that angle. Grab the lapel, bridge, get onto your side, and you can either pull your knee out or step over, as long as there's space for your knee to hit the floor. Right? If you're with a bigger guy, you're not going to move him as much. You're going to have to move yourself away and then duck out. Okay? If you're looking for more shoulder pressure, hand on the floor or elbow on the floor, and there's your arm lock, your kimura. There's the wrist lock, then you can pop your head up. Right? The collar grip is a really important one on this. If they don't have a collar grab, you're just going to try and push on their head or your fist in their neck. Okay, go ahead, guys. So next, you want to stand up. Most people that have guard don't like to stand up. They think of it more, it's only good for self-defense. It's a little bit easier to do some of the moves on the ground than stand up and then try to take your partner down. But it's a good self-defense move, and if you're having a partner that's got a base that's really far back and they're not letting you bring that weight forward, it's hard to control their gi, it's hard to arm bar them because they're super, super, super defensive and they're leaning away, shove them backwards and then jump on top of them. So we want to play with that, trying to keep the pressure, and they're pulling away. I'm going to open my guard. I'm going to do one or two things. One is I'm going to try and get my hands underneath his arms, bring his hands up, and bring my knees in front of him. Push my hips away, and then I can kick him away. I can pull for triangles now because this makes Sean a little bit nervous. If he tries to lean away, I can just knock him backwards and look to come up to pass his guard. Okay, so if they're going to fall on their back, you have a choice. You can stand up. If it's for self-defense, that's perfect. Stand up, get away. If it's sport, you might want to kind of sort of stand up to your knees and then get on top of them right away so you get a better position. The other way is, I'm here, he's pulling away. As I open my guard, I turn onto my side and get a knee in. Once my knee is in, I put a foot on his hip, and same thing. Now I can start to stand up and pull his head down and do really cool chokes and other things, or I can just try to get away, right? So it's a good one if I want to jump on top of him or take his back. This is also a nice one. So here, if he's leaning away, good, onto my side, foot in, up, here, down, onto his back just like before. Okay, so now we can kind of link a couple moves together. So standing up is a really, really good one if you have a partner that's being super, super, super defensive inside your guard and you're having trouble shifting their weight around. Send them backwards. The two ways, again, is you can go push on the shoulders and knees in. And this is a very safe way. This would be more if I want to stand up and kick them away. Feet are on the hips, move out a little bit, and then kick to the face, kick here. So this is why when we do some of the moves, we want both knees up is so I can kick him. So if I'm doing this to someone, it's because I'm going to punt them away from me. Okay? If I'm doing the way where I'm on my side to get my knee in. This is because I'm looking to sweep, submit, or get to my knees. So for this one, a little easier for me here. I can keep this control. Even if Sean tries to grab my leg or something, that's fine. I can duck out and get a loop choke, or go for his back. Okay, so 2 different stops. I'll do one more time. Actually, we'll go facing this way. So the first one's easy. Underneath, in here, wiggle away, and then push or kick. The second one, I open my guard. I squeeze my knees together. I turn on my side, so my hip is out. And I slide my knee in and up here. And again, I can push them away. I can go for my triangles or my arm bars, whatever I might like from there. So this is a great way to either stand up and get away, or open up the game if you're getting a guy that's really kind of hunkering down, doesn't want to do anything. Make him expose himself. Okay? Have fun. So now we're going to escape technical mount. And this is just a quick bonus one for you guys. Sometimes you turn to your side, you guys get technical mount, and you kind of get stuck there. This is a great way to make your partner feel a little dumb. So maybe you're trying to go for your bridge and roll, and he turns, which is a very smart thing for him to do. Or I'm trying to shrimp to escape mount, and he turns. So anytime I'm on my side, Sean wants to go to technical mount. One foot is by my hip, and the other knee is on the floor behind my back. So I'm kind of stuck here, and the danger is he's going to start going for chokes, like this. He'll grab my lapel, he'll start choking me, or he'll grab my arm, and he'll start turning me and take my back. So I have to be really careful here. So go back to mount. As I turn onto my side, my elbow, if you could sit up please, my elbow is in nice and tight. Really, really, really important. I don't want my elbow here where I can grab my arm. And my other hand is going to go here to protect the collar. So he's got his technical mount now. I put my hand here, so if he does try to feed the collar, my hand's in the way, which will slow down his choke. And my elbow's by his hip. So once I'm in this position, my foot will go to the floor. I'm going to push and bridge and slide out. You can see Sean starting to get stretched, and then he starts to pull his back onto or his butt onto the floor. I put my shoulder down, and I turn into Sean here. Okay, now, I might just go to open guard, I might go into a pass that I might know, or I might just try to get away. That's kind of your choice. So again, I'll just turn a little bit here. I turn onto my side, he went to technical mount, elbows in, foot's on the floor, and I sweep my leg and my hip out. So I'm getting that stretch for Sean. Now, if I move myself away from Sean, it's kind of like he's doing one of those stretching on his quad kind of thing. So he's not in a very, very strong position. Right? And that's what I want. I want to try and stretch him out. So again, step, leg comes out, and I put my back on the floor and turn into Sean. Well, maybe I'll pass this way this time. What I have to watch out for during the pass is my arm. Is this. So if I start going out too far and I push my arm up, he might go for an arm bar. Yeah, go ahead. So if I leave my arm out, he might get an arm bar. But I just can't leave my elbow up here. Okay? If my elbow's in close, we'll go ahead for your arm bar. I'm fine. The other thing is, as I come on top of him, I have to be careful. I don't pull my arm right out, and I leave my other one there, and he gets a triangle. So I can't be silly with my arms. Keep your elbows in. Okay? One more time, slightly different angle. There you go. Really, really fun one. Makes your partner really off balance. Fun to do. One last thing. If you're having a challenge doing it because your partner figured it out, he'll put more weight on this foot here. So when you go, it kind of gets jammed up. You're going to take this leg and put your back on the mat, and then you go into your shrimp the other side. So if you find that maybe you got a bigger partner, or most likely they recognize that you're trying to stretch this leg out, they put more weight onto it there. It's like, oh, I'm stuck. Little pendulum. I get a kick, put my back on the mat, hand on the hip, and start going back to my shrimp mount escape from before. So it's nice because those ones just kind of link together now. So you have 3 mount escapes that work really well in unison. Okay? Go play with them, guys. Okay guys, escapes. It's really easy to train these. All you gotta do is let someone put you in mount. Let them put you in side mount. Let them take your back. As long as you're conscious with that idea of you're allowing someone to get those positions, so you don't create that habit of turning your back and guys get your back all the time. As long as you're conscious about that, yes, I'm gonna let them get to mount so I can work on my defense. That is an awesome, awesome, awesome training mentality. And then you get to work on your defenses. Once you're not worried about defending yourself, it becomes so much more fun. You can relax, you can enjoy. This is a really, really important thing you must know, is all those escapes, really important. So have fun, train them on the mats. If you're having a challenge with it, go see the videos again, watch them, look for little details. Sometimes I was leaving little details out verbally, but I would do them physically because it's a lot of information to take in. So now you can go back and study the movements that I'm doing and see if there's a little extra thing that you might catch that usually I reserve for more of the higher belts. Okay, so have fun with them. And if you're still having a challenge with it, man, come see me, right? I'll help you work on how to escape mount. Okay, have fun.